students of class 8, welcome back for the online class. And today we will be dealing with a new lesson, lesson number 4, and that is Bees in My Backyard, written by Bittu Sagal. Okay? You can follow it on page 36 of your book, textbook. Let's try to know first at the very outset about the author, and secondly we'll try to discuss a little bit upon the theme of the lesson. What are the themes? And then after that we will try to have the explanation stanza wise, as I used to do in the class also. Okay. So about the author. The name of the author is Bittu Sagal, and basically he is an Indian writer. He is an Indian author. He is from Mumbai, and basically he is known as an environmental activist. Okay, you know what is an environmental activist? He is a person who has committed his life to protect and preserve the environment, the nature. If anything comes up against the nature, he fights back against it. Okay, so he is that kind of person. And also, if you turn to page 38, you'll see a small write-up given there about the author. The Bittu Sagal, an environmental activist who protects and preserves the environment, is the founding editor of Sanctuary Asia, India's premier wildlife and ecology magazine. Now, he is the founder editor of a magazine called Sanctuary Asia, and which basically deals with the wildlife and the ecology. Ecology means the entire environment, the nature. What are the crises of the nature, the environment? So all these things, different issues of the environment, all these things are written or dealt in this magazine. So Bittu Sagal was the founding editor. He was the first editor of this so-called magazine. Okay, he is a member of the National Board for Wildlife. Okay, he is also the member of the National Board of Wildlife. You know, the animals and all, the various species of the animals which are slowly getting extinct. All these things. He is also the forefront of the battle to protect India from the worst impacts of climate change. So about the climatic change in India, he is also a member of that. He was the one who fought the battle in order to protect India from this worst impacts of climatic change and all. So basically, mainly that's why I've written here, he is the environmental activist, and he is committed his life for the betterment, for the protection, for the preservation of the environment, be it the plants, be it animals, be it climate change, whatever, the entire nature. Okay, so that kind of person is Bittu Sagal, and most of his writings are also based on environment. Also, the lesson that we are going to deal with also is very much about the environment. Okay, so that's about the author. Now, secondly, the theme of the lesson. Now, what is the theme? The basic, let's say, the crux, the main idea of the lesson. Okay, what does the author want to convey? First, let's see nature and its significance. Now, basically, definitely, since Bittu Sagal, the author, is the environmentalist, the nature lover, so he has talked about the nature. See, basically, he is a nature lover. He loves the nature. And in his writing, this Bees in the Backyard, he tries to express his love for the nature. Okay, convey to the readers his love for the nature. And also he tries to convince us to love the nature. Okay, because nature is the provider, the benevolent provider to us, who is the source of all our living. Okay, so if we love nature, nature will definitely love us. Without nature, without the environment, we can't exist. Okay, so this is the fact that the author has already experienced, is convinced of that. Without nature, we are nothing, will be nowhere. Okay, so therefore, this fact he has understood and tries to make us understand also, the readers. Okay, so nature and its significance. Without nature, we have to depend on nature for everything, anything, isn't it? So we have to also love nature and take some steps to preserve and protect the nature. That is the main idea the author wants to give. Okay. And secondly, how and why to protect and preserve it. Now, with different steps to protect and preserve the nature, the environment. We have to. Why? Because nature is the source of everything for us. We cannot live without the nature. We have to depend on nature for everything. The air we breathe, the oxygen, the water that we drink, the food that we get. Right? We have to depend on nature for everything. Without nature, we are nowhere. We can't exist. So therefore, that's why to protect. We have to protect. And how to protect, we have to take some measures to protect. Okay, so that's what mostly those are the things, the nature, the environment, these things are the main theme of this lesson that we are going to take. Okay? Like the bees in my backyard. The bees, the honeybee and the backyard. Now, it's not exactly the bees, talking about the bees only in the author is not talking about the bees only in the lesson, but just look at the topic here. Bees in my backyard. Backyard means just the side of the house there is my small kind of a lawn. In order to have bees, what do we require? We have to have various flowers, plants, greenery. If there is no flower, if there is no greenery, if there is no plant, there is no bee. There is no bees, right? Bees are there only when there are flowers and plants, and for which by which bees are attracted by the flowers. So therefore, bees in my backyard means is talking about a beautiful green place full of flowers. Okay, so that the title itself also kind of a hint us about the nature, the environment. Okay. Okay, now let's go to the explanation stanza wise. Now this video will be made in two parts, okay, because it's a very huge lesson. I can't explain in the one short video because it will take a long time. So therefore I'll break the video into, in the first video maybe I'll explain a little bit, maybe 3-4 stanzas, and after that in the second video I will explain the remaining part. Okay. Okay, now please take your book. Page number 36. I want all of you to take your book and follow the book as I explain, because it stanza-wise explanation. You have to have your book. Okay. Expanding cities are eaten up the green open spaces available to us. Which do you think is important? Expansion of cities for economic progress or the need for open spaces? Okay. Now here is beginning at the very outset with a question. What do you prefer? Now to you, dear students, this is a question from the writer. What do you prefer? The cities, expansion of the cities for economic progress, you prefer that? Or you prefer a very open space, greenery, where there is green plants and flowers, the village setup. What do you prefer? You prefer economic growth, or you prefer a very healthy, green, open space? In this context, let's just look at our own surroundings. Is it covered with green areas? Do we have open space where we can really enjoy our life? Or it is full of building after building, lot of factories around? What is that? Just look around your houses also. And question to yourself, what do you prefer for a healthy life, for a good life? Do you prefer a busy expansion of cities, buildings, factories around your house, or you prefer a very nice, open space, a green area, greenery, full of flowers, plants? What do you prefer? Okay, ask the question to yourself. Now let's begin the lesson. I used to live in a building called Jal Darshan on Nepean Sea Road in Mumbai. I woke each morning to the sound of a kingfisher. Now see, now he is speaking about his building, though he is living in Mumbai. Mumbai is a very overpopulated city, right? Okay. But however, he has a nice building there, and the name of the building is Jal Darshan. The name itself, Jal, it's water. Darshan means to have a view. a very environmental friendly name itself, the building of the author. Okay, in the name, and I woke each morning to the sound of a kingfisher. That means when author was living in that building, he used to early morning he used to rise up to the sound of the kingfisher. You know the kingfisher? It's a bird. No? Kingfisher is a bird. It's a national bird. Okay. What do you all wake up early in the morning with? Do you also wake up with the sound of the birds, the chirping of the birds, or you wake up to the alarm or some noise from the other buildings around, other factories? What do you? Okay. The author is expressing his view that every morning he used to wake up to the sound of the kingfisher, the birds chirping. Okay. That means he might have nice greenery around his house. Now he's hinting to that. Now let's go to the second paragraph. Just outside our balcony, growing out of a sheer rock face, was an outcrop of lantana bushes that has proven to be a virtual sanctuary in an otherwise human dominated landscape. This is what exactly. There. Now, in his building, he has a balcony, and just outside the balcony, there was a nice lantana bushes. Okay, lantana bushes means a huge wild bushes that comes, shrubs that comes up, green color. Okay, so that is what he has outside of his house. He can have that view from the balcony there. Okay, though Mumbai is an overpopulated area there. Okay, but our author Bittu Sergal has kind of protected his area, his backyard, of the house, at least from that noisy pollution. He has grown there nice lantana, plants, shrubs there, bushes, lots of trees there, and it's very nice, beautiful. That's why the kingfisher, other birds would come there, and early morning he used to wake up with the sound of the chirping of those birds. See? Proven to be a virtual sanctuary. Now you know what's a sanctuary? What a sanctuary means where it's a protected area, preserved area for birds, plants, and no sanctuary means that. In the sanctuary, animals, birds, whatever they are protected there. So similarly, he's talking about my backyard also is kind of a virtual sanctuary where there are plenty of birds and plants. They are protected area. It's a protected area, and he wants to say that. Okay. I spent hours in my balcony watching sunbirds, tailor birds, magpie robins, quails, sparrows, crows, rose-winged parakeets, and pigeons. See, so many different types of birds are there because there's a nice greenery there. Now, Mumbai is a city where there is no greenery. All buildings and factories and noise and pollution, cars and vehicles and all. But in the midst of that also, at least the author Bittu is able to preserve some greenery there, at least in his backyard, in his house. Okay, and that's why because of that, lots of birds are there. Now, different types of birds, as he's naming there, they come to his backyard there. When the season was right, mostly in winter, warblers and gulls came visiting our turf. Now, warblers means singing birds. Okay, it's a different peculiar kind of a singing bird, warbler, and gulls means the sea birds. Okay, when you go to the sea area, sea birds came visiting our turf. Now, turf means territory. So, in the winter, even these special birds, warblers and gulls would come there. Every time they would not come, but during the winters and other times. Okay, I once even saw a shikra pick up a sparrow in a puff of feathers, all this from my balcony that also overlooked a venerable bird tree and a clutch of peepal trees that swarmed with life. See? As that means he used to have a very nice view from his balcony. He saw one shikra coming and catching the sparrow. Now, shikra is a prey bird, a bird who depends on, it's a kind of a hawk, who depends upon other birds, who feeds on other birds, prey bird. So the shikra was catching the sparrow, and venerable bird tree. Now, bird tree, venerable means we respect bird tree. It has a spiritual or religious value also, isn't it? So therefore, venerable bird tree also is there. A clutch of peepal trees is there, that swarmed with life. Now, what do you mean by swarmed with life? It is full of life. Why? Because the plants, the trees are full of fruits, leaves, flowers, and because of that, they attract what? The birds, the butterflies, many things. That's why the tree itself, are full of life. Swarm with life means that, full of flowers, fruits, and because of that, we also have the living things, living organisms, the birds, the squirrels, maybe. No, so that's why it is swarmed with life, full of life. Between them, these wild plants managed to feed such a variety of life forms right here in the turmoil we call Mumbai. Now, see, turmoil means disorder, state of confusion, lot of noise, disturbance. In Mumbai, so much is there, but in the midst of that also, we have a very nice kind of sanctuary, vegetation, greenery, which feeds lot of life forms, the birds and all. Otherwise, in Mumbai, it is difficult to live for the birds, butterflies, and bees because there are no trees, no flowers. But in between this, in midst of Mumbai also, at least in the backyard of our author, Bittu, there is a wide, full of life, full of animals, birds, full of greenery. That is what he wants to say. And then there was the Jaldarshan garden at dawn. Now he also has a small garden there. At dawn and dusk, a virtual army of pipistrelles and swifts. Now pipistrelles means it's a kind of a bat, one species of bat. Okay, pipistrelles, and swifts means small birds. Competed with each other, dive bombing the airspace over our garden, consuming the insects that grow fat on the plenty of Malabar Hill. Now there is a small garden there, and there is also a small kind of a hill there, Malabar Hill. And now these bats, pipistrelles and swifts and small birds, they were competing with each other to dive down from the sky. They were competing for what? They were competing to catch the insects, small insects on which they feed. Because there is a hill, there is a greenery, there are lots of insects also, fat insects. So they would compete each other to dive and catch the insects and feed upon them. Okay. When it was darker and most human residents were glued to television sets, fruit bats came visiting to feast on thousands of figs and false badam fruit. Now, see, there's a very nice fact the author has brought out here. When it's darker and almost most human residents were glued to television sets. Now, see, that's what happens. No, exactly with us also. When it's evening time, we are not going around, but what are we busy with? We are busy with TV, watching TV, glued there, watching various programs. We don't have time to just go around and see around what's there in the nature and all. All are busy with watching TV or today watching phone. We are glued to the phones. We are busy with that, watching nonsense things sometimes, and we are missing the things. So very nice fact the author is telling us. Okay, and during those times when the people are busy with the TV and all, what's going around outside? He says, the fruit bats came visiting to feast on thousands of figs and false badam fruit. Outside the nature, the bats, the flowers, the birds, they are busy feeding on the figs, the badams and all. We have no time to watch them. We have no time to go out the nature and enjoy the nature there. The greenery there, the trees, the flowers, the animals, the birds there. We are busy in our own world, busy with the TV, busy with our phones, right? That's what the author is saying us. Every few years, a family of barn owls raised its family in a cozy little niche 20 meters up in the cliff wall. Now, in that same sanctuary, the virtual sanctuary, the backyard of Segal, every year a family of barn owls, the old owls, they raise their family and they go, and another year again they. So this every year, this nice system of raising of the family of the owls is taking place. No? in the little niche means it's a hollow, it's a cliff there, no, ready-made hollow there, and there only the owl raises its family, and they rise, they grow up and they go, and next year again. So every year it is happening. So many things are happening out there in the nature outside, no? But we are busy in our own world. We don't have time to go and spend time there. That is what Bittu Serval is telling each one of us, you and me. Okay. So in this first video, we shall have only this much, the 3 paragraphs, and in the second video, we shall have the explanation of the remaining stanzas. Kindly listen to this video very carefully and also follow your book closely. Okay. If you have any difficult words there, kindly follow you take your dictionary and you can refer the dictionary and you can get the meaning.